Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. So listen, it's great to be back. And in today's video, I want to talk about some of the best RWA projects. Should you invest in these blindly, or should you take out a far more considered approach when it comes to these RWA tokens? And if that sounds interesting, smash a like and let's go. So guys, look, the RWA narrative could come back after nearly 50% correction in CFG, Centrifuge, Ondo, and a few other protocols. Okay, so we're in that stage of the market where we could look at some of the top RWA projects after this long corrective downtrend and see where we can actually take advantage as investors. Okay, now some of these you can't just go into blindly because you've got to look at the on-chain metric, and in today's video we're going to do that. So smash a like, take a seat, and let's go. If you're new to the channel, just subscribe. I would greatly appreciate. So in any case, anyway, the RWA market is set to explode, and we know the likes of BlackRock are tokenizing these assets right now. And what I've done is, over the past 6 months to a year, I've been collecting a number of RWA tokens led by Ondo Finance. And I want to actually talk about a percentage here, which is called the dominance. So what is the dominance against Bitcoin right now in terms of the overall market dominance of these protocols, and where could they end up? So we don't just buy blindly. We just need to have some kind of scientific approach into how these protocols work and how money flows in them work. So if you're looking at, for example, in this RWA breakdown here on Dune Analytics, you will actually see a market activity by weekly transactions, right? So the best way to actually determine this, especially when the narrative is in, right? So you can see here, really, we started this narrative in sort of March 2024, and we started to move with it and go into it, and it's starting to make a much smaller but more significant comeback right now. Now, if you're looking at this data, you've also got an active user base which has been dropping dramatically. You can see here the RWA kind of participation has gradually tapered off with the drop in the market. Very interesting indeed. Now, what's even more interesting is, which one should you buy? And are you just buying it because somebody's saying it's the right thing to do? Or are you looking at the transactions, the market dominance, and linking it to how these potentially could do really well for you? So I've looked at several things and several metrics that tell me what these best protocols are. And some of these, to be honest, I mean, you already know about them, but it's all about the actual, basically the returns that they will potentially offer us in terms of the overall activity, what these tokenization are going to do, and how we can actually get and take advantage of that. So here's a list of certain tokens. Now, interestingly here, so Relio is a layer 1, right? So we obviously have the likes of Mantra, layer 1, and Relio is basically layer 1, and it's basically all real assets. And currently, in terms of followers, it has about 45 to about 50,000 followers. However, the 3 months performance in the RWA run was quite significant. So Relio did extremely well. And I think in terms of the overall, for me, in terms of the outlook for Relio network, it would only be second to Ondo in terms of where I see a lot of benefit coming from that. Another interesting one here is Credify. Credify obviously is run up as well, and Credify is private equity, so it's a bit more niche. Labs Group is more real estate, and so on and so on. And then you've got the likes of Maple, which is privately fixed, subcategories, privately income. And then you've got the likes of Centrifuge, which is securitization, Polytrade, which is TradeFi, and then of course Goldfinch, emerging markets, And then what else have we got? Swarm, SMT, which is public fixed income. And then, of course, there are a few other protocols as well, like Cadal, which is specifically for climate. And then you have the likes of Toucan, which is a carbon neutral carbon credits platform, which is an interesting one to look at. And then you got the real estate ones like Tangible, PropChain, Propy. And then, of course, the absolute beast here is public fixed income or public finance, which is tokenization really in Ondo. Right? So with looking at all of these different protocols, which one should you invest in and why? So I've looked at data, and this data is based on weekly transaction. The data, obviously, the top of that was April when the narrative was really hot. It's also a good way to check what was really, really hot during the narrative. So what we can look at and what we can deduct from this is I'm only looking for maximum 2 to 3 plays when it comes to RWA, okay? And this is a fantastic share of the RWA transaction. It looks confusing, but trust me, it's not. It's easy to understand. So let's have a look at these, and we're gonna go through these one by one. So the ones that I'm interested in, so this is TrueFi, not bad at all. Had a decent share of late. And then this is Ondo Finance in the blue. Look at the domination since January, really since the end of December. Ondo Finance dominated the transaction volume of the entire narrative, and it came out late December, early January. Anyway, it started to trade in January, right? So Ondo is your main play over here. Then we start to look at the other protocols. Before Ondo, you can see here, Relio was the dominant force, and it still has a decent share of market cap. It could grow. And what did we say Relio was? Relio, for those that don't really understand the true, I would say that the actual, the true benefits of owning Relio network. Relio is a layer 1, all real assets, right? So it's a layer 1, and that makes a huge difference. So you can see here, possibly in that time, Relio was also significantly trading as the second largest block prior to the emergence of Ondo Finance. Very bullish, if you ask me. And then we look at, for example, BCT, which is the protocol for carbon credits. It's at 10 million in terms of market cap. It did actually run up quite nicely before, but obviously nobody's interested at this right now. Has no really centralized exchanges at all, and it's on the Polygon network. I mean, it is not really where I would go. And this is the first liquid biochar credits. So, you know, I don't think carbon credits as such is a it's a narrative that's waiting to pop out, guys. But it is something that was there when the narrative came around towards the end of last year in terms of carbon credits. So that's something else that's over there. And this is not really the type of chart that I'm looking to buy, because there are better performances here. So we take a look at that. We did talk about, then you have SMT. SMT is another one that started to grow, but you can see here it is second to Relio, right? And then of course you have other smaller ones here. And then you've got this protocol. So if you look at StrikeX, let me just show you, because sometimes you start to see the transaction volume. So this is called StrikeX, right? For those of you who haven't heard of this, this is a $30 million market cap cryptocurrency, and want to keep an eye out on the RWA narrative, right? So, I mean, at the moment, in terms of circulating supply, you can see here that supply is extremely, extremely low, but it's still getting a decent volume to market cap. Still very small, in my opinion. And it had a growing number of TradeStrike had a growing number of transactions, right? I'm only looking at the transactions, guys. So it's a blockchain powered by a hybrid ecosystem of interoperable CeFi and DeFi solution, harnessing tokenizations for the next generation of financial products. Now, this is quite interesting. Of course, right now, in terms of the in terms of being a massive protocol, it is definitely not. And you have to look at Strike for what it is. Strike has a decent following, you know, and obviously it is something that is trying to make a name for itself in the space. Sometimes you got to look at these additional. Only thing is, it's on the Binance blockchain, and perhaps, you know, hasn't caught the attention that Ondo has done. But this is something, again, circulating supply is an issue for me. Of course, having said that, look, it had that, you know, if we go back to April, that's when it had its pump. And this is obviously an older protocol that's been around for many, many years. No listings. I would say we continue exploring the data. We can't discriminate against the data. The data is what it is. So Strike was kind of growing towards, and has been recently, even though it's an older protocol. Then you've got OM. Of course, they had that partnership with Ondo, and then Pepe, Klima. Klima is another interesting one because the transaction volume is not bad at all, based on the previous performance. So look, in order to sum up this for you, so let me just give you Klima DAO. Again, you know, you have to look at this. It's a $20 million market cap, right? But look at the chart. I mean, this is multi-cycle. This came out November, pumped, and absolutely kind of fell off. But some of these protocols, in terms of market cap, $20 million, hardly no volume. It's on the Polygon chain, and hardly has. It's also on Aerodrome actually, which is quite bullish. But it's had a share of the market in terms of RWA from a transaction standpoint. All right. So to summarize this, you can see here, the data doesn't actually lie. The data is very, very accurate. So what does that mean for us in conclusion? Well, this is what it means for us. I would say in terms of this narrative, Ondo is the leader in terms of the in terms of this entire field. I would say Ondo, Relio, and obviously one of Polytrade and SMT is probably a good thing to consider, based on the fact that, for example, SMT is only a $15 million market cap. Having said that, we need to see the impact of the European law on how that gets about. But Ondo, despite the unlocks that are going to happen, which doubles the tokens from 1.8 billion to about nearly 3.8 billion. January, you've got till January to try and take profits, and maybe it'll run up about 5x, 10x then. And then the idea is from there to get a very, very good run up into the next half of the bull market. And obviously, if we do that, one of the most exciting things about Ondo is it may end up being a top 10, top 15 cryptocurrency based on these metrics, which means it could have anything between 50 billion and anything about up to 60 billion in market cap, which makes it a not easy, but a very good 20-30x considering the dilution. But it does definitely have strength. Let me know what RWAs you're thinking about. My top 4 picks are: number 1, Ondo Finance; number 2, Relio Network; number 3, SMT; number 4, Polytrade; and notable shout outs to the likes of Pepe and a few of the other degen ones. But most certainly that's my entire outlook on the RWA scenario. All right, guys, let me know what you buy, and I'll catch you on the next one.